Continuing with our prayer life series, focusing on the model prayer that is found in Matthew chapter 6, verses 9 through 11. I am the ODP, the outdoor pastor, the proud pastor of Spring Hill. Yeah. And so I'm going to break each or go verse by verse. But before I do that, I want to give some context. And so the model prayer is found in Matthew 6, 9 through 13. Taking a step back, when you look at Matthew chapter 6, verses 1 through 18, it is God talking, or not God, Jesus talking about religious practices and how they should be done as opposed to what they were doing then. Taking another step back, chapter 6 of Matthew is a part of what we call the Sermon on the Mount, where Jesus sets the record straight and talks about hypocrisy and talks about rejecting performative religious traditions as opposed to intimacy and relationship. And so when Jesus says, therefore, you should pray like this, and says what he says, that's the context, and that's very important. And so I'm just going to talk about verse 9 today. He says, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. So when he says our Father, keep in mind that back then, they would have been expecting, when Jesus says, I want you to pray like this, they probably were expecting the prayer to start off like King of Kings, Lord of Lords, great ruler in the sky, all those different things. But Jesus intentionally uses our Father so that it points to the relationship and the intimacy of the relationship between the prayer and the person that is receiving the prayer. And so he removes all that pomp and circumstance out of the way, but then he quickly makes sure that we understand who we're praying to. He says, who's in heaven. So we're not praying to just any old body. We're praying to a God that makes his residence in heaven, that he is otherworldly, he is supernatural. Then he says, hallowed be thy name, your name is holy. And so Jesus points to the separateness and sanctity of God, really looks at the fact that God is the source of all holiness. And so when we take all of these things into consideration, Jesus is forcing the prayer, the person that is praying, to acknowledge the holiness, the righteousness, the purity of God, his majesty in that he resides in heaven, but we're not praying to someone who is looking to exert their authority over us or use us like puppets. It is a father-child relationship, which means there's great love, there's great intimacy, but there's also willing subjection of the child to the Father. And so that's the beginning of the prayer. We're going to walk through the rest of the verses. I am the ODP, the outdoor pastor, the proud pastor of Spring Hill. Yeah. Let me remind you that you have purpose, you have power, God is destined to prevail, and I'll holler at you later. Peace.